Good afternoon. This is your Athens, Georgia County Weather Girl with another weather update for Athens, Georgia. So today it is Sunday, January the 19th, around 1:30 in the afternoon. And presently it's around 45 degrees. We had a high temperature today, around 50 degrees, and the temperature starting to fall. It will continue to fall over the next, all night long through tomorrow morning, honestly. We're going to get down to around freezing by 11 o'clock tonight, and the temperature will continue to drop after that. So quick note here, make sure that you leave your faucets running, especially if you have any sinks or bathrooms that are on the outside wall of your house. Make sure you leave those things dripping. You might want to do the same thing with any water hoses out in the yard. Okay, so we're going to look at some models right now, and it is not good if you are a big fan of snow in Georgia, so in especially North Georgia and Athens area. It's not looking good. So models have really struggled to get this system nailed down. We've been looking at, for the last several days, 4 or 5 days, been kind of relying on more of the global models, which are really great for long-term kind of temperature trending and so forth. But they're not that good with precipitation. We're starting to get now into more of the short-range models, and these are now showing some data that honestly corroborates what the global models have been thinking is going to happen. So we'll take a look at these now. So we're on the GFS model, and we'll just kind of cycle through this. So GFS model basically shows a light band of snow passing a little bit south of Macon, nowhere near Atlanta and Athens area. So GFS has been pretty consistent on not having any wintry precipitation in the Athens area for a while now. So we'll put that aside. We'll look at the Euro next. So the Euro is another global model, and it does show here just a brief period of maybe 3 or so hours of light snow in the Athens area, which might accumulate to maybe anywhere between a trace and an inch or so, depending on how cold it is when this stuff falls. So the Euro is thinking we might have a tiny amount. The Canadian model, we're looking at that now. So the Canadian model is kind of interesting because the last several days, 4 to 5 days, it has been honking really loud that we would get a ton of snow, anywhere from Macon all the way up to Athens. But in the last couple of major model runs from the Canadian model, it's backed way off that and shifted the precipitation bands further south, and also kind of decreased the amount of available precipitation that's going to fall. So the Canadian is showing us as getting no snow. Alright, so we're going to look at some of the short-term models. So right now, that's 2 out of the 3 global models are saying no snow for Athens. So we're going to look at some of the short-range models, starting out with the FE3. So the FE3 does show some light snow forming into our area around 5 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. And it would show continue to snow over the next 3 to 6, maybe or so hours, 6 hours roughly. We may see an accumulation. If this model panned out, we might see another inch and a half of snow on the ground. That's if this one particularly panned out. So I can't go any further out because we're just starting to get into focus of the short-range models. So some of the we can't get so far out to see what's next after this. But so we probably only have about 6 hours of snow per FE3. Next of all, we'll look at the NAM. And the NAM is also we're not able to get any further down in the, we're not to get any more model runs out of this one, because we'll probably get a little further deep into its run later today around 6 o'clock. But we can see here on this particular view that the snow is definitely not moving towards north. It's kind of sticking well south. You can kind of see the trajectory of that. Most of the really heavy snow will be falling back over Louisiana, South Mississippi, and South Alabama, and it seems to kind of like start petering out as it gets over towards South Georgia and the Valdosta area. Tallahassee area, it's a little bit of freezing rain maybe down there. You can see in the pink areas. Okay, so NAM says no snow for us. Finally, we'll look at the RGM model. And the RGM model looks like it starts, it has a little band pushing towards us, but it never actually reaches the Athens area. So Atlanta gets touched by a little bit of this very light precipitation. We get none, and this again just shows it kind of goes away from North Georgia and Mid Georgia into basically falling mostly down towards a line from Valdosta, a little bit over towards Savannah, Georgia. And you get a lot of freezing rain behind that. So the RGEM is saying no snow for Athens. So that's 2 out of the 3 short-range models I've looked at so far say no snow for Athens. One says a little bit of snow for Athens. So in total we have 6 models that we just looked at, and 4 of them are no and 2 of them are a little bit. So the models are not favoring us getting any action at all. So now we're going to look now at a message that just was released here not long ago from the National Weather Service, and I find this rather interesting. So let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. So this model right here, again, this is from earlier this morning, so they would have seen the midnight runs last night. You can see here the National Weather Service is thinking that the Athens area would be in a 30% risk of having moderate winter impacts. So we could potentially have some snow on the ground. And honestly, you know, with the model data I just looked at, it doesn't. I think that's actually not a bad call. The model data, the fresh data we're looking at right now does show that heaviest band of snow happening over towards Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. It falls apart as it goes further east. So that's what the National Weather Service is looking at, and I think that's not a bad call on their part. Obviously, that these guys do this full time for a living, and a lot of us weather bugs, we do this for fun and for science and learning. That having been said, I think my projection for our Athens area is that we're going to get a trace to an inch at the very most. If we get anything more than that, it'll be super exciting. But like also, it'll be pretty. I just, unless something really radical happens, I just don't see. I could almost see this, like, honestly, like South Georgia getting less snow as we get closer to the event. I'd love to see myself proven wrong here, and a lot of that has to do, if I just kind of move this this NDBS graphic out of the way, a lot of it has to do with this low pressure system here. You can see, like on the GFS model, how far south into the Gulf of Mexico it is, and the Euro also has it really far into the Gulf. Well, the Canadian doesn't really even show it as a low system, and then the FV3, again, it's way down in the Gulf of Mexico down here. Same with the NAM and same with the RGEM. So the fact that this thing is so far low is kind of what's hurting us, and also the amount of precipitation that's coming from it. If this low were to somehow track a little bit further northward, like, maybe we would get a little bit more precipitation in our area. And it's kind of a danger zone too, because if we get it to go too far north, then we fuck ourselves. Like we don't get any snow, we start looking at basically freezing rain and sleet or cold rain at that point. And that's kind of the setup we had last week, where that low pressure system tracked right across Georgia and it brought with a lot of that warm, moist Gulf air. So that's the setup right now. If this low can somehow manage to tick northward a decent amount, and there's not a whole lot on the models right now that suggest that something like that would even happen. The low is down here, and there's just not a whole lot to try and press it further northward. So it's gonna happily go kind of at this trajectory, kind of towards the east-northeast. So that's where we're at. I don't think we're gonna have any snow. If we do, it's gonna be a very small amount, traced to an inch. So if whatever does fall, if it does, it's gonna make the roads very, very hazardous to drive on. So plan on not, driving around Tuesday night into Wednesday for sure. That's it. That's your little weather update for now. If anything does change with regard to any kind of this like low pressure track down there, if anything else changes and we think that we're gonna have a shift one way or the other, I'll make another update. That's it. So sad face for no snow, but maybe we'll get lucky again. It's possible. Otherwise, we'll catch you again on the next weather update. Take care, and just remember to leave your faucets on tonight. And if you do have to travel anywhere, make sure your car is in good running order, especially if you're taking any kind of long trip. You do not want to be stuck out in the cold in these really, really frigid cold temperatures. All right, take care. Bye-bye.